could be the ERP you're using, and then integration methodology towards it. So what is available as raw information on one side in our data center is now available to you into your ERPs in a dashboard, which you understand as part of your standard messaging methodology. So on one side, very, very complex architecture made easy and made extremely effectively usable for end user. That's how the deployment architecture for us is. Githesh? And of course, whenever you deploy, the proof is in the pudding. What did you achieve out of it? If nobody will ask this question, your finance controller, your CFO will ask this question. Well, you asked for all this money from me. I signed a big fat check 6 months ago. What have you achieved? Well, our answer towards our finance and our external stakeholders is 8 to 10% saving on PUE. That's the biggest cost. 20% improvement in the equipment uptime, because that's how the equipment have to keep on going. 20% improvement. And then manpower, a lot of rudimentary work that was done by manpower being automated, we save around 300 persons hour per month. And then 10% reduction in the operating cost. So the ROI of the deployment is very, very, very fast. Very, very fast. Take it next slide. Now, framework, security framework. How does one see security? Well, lots of access control systems, and then one strong guard with some gun or lots of guards in place. Well, that's a very, very simplistic way of looking at it. For us, the way we look at it is information, your data, your information should be confidential, should have integrity, and should be accessible. The CIA framework. Keeping this framework, especially after we did the 27001 and being part of the team which was responsible for giving the information there, we develop all our policies based on this framework. How do we execute this framework? Make a centralized security command center. All this information coming together. I will invite all of you to view our data center and be a part of the tour for the secure centralized command center. And then back it up with the physical security 10 levels. Do a proper risk assessment. Risk keeps on evolving. Our process have to keep on evolving. And then the electronic controls. And nothing that is deployed now is useful few months from now. We continue have to keep on evolving, our equipment, our processes, and then there is a proper methodology to look back into the original plan. And that's how we look at security. Hitesh? So on the right-hand side, you see a very interesting dashboard. That's how green energy is reported into our data centers. On the top left, you see power coming from solar and wind. And on the right-hand side, power coming from the electricity grid, the electricity state board's grid. At the bottom is my data center. And then on bottom left is the banking, the power banking. The excess power that we generate during the day is actually used for the data center as a daily to use and then banked into a proper bank. Of course, this is not a physical bank as batteries being stored, but used by the grid, by the electricity board for other purposes of theirs. And then when we need power, it is sourced back from that bank because it is deposited in there and it is made useful. Now, this is just a screenshot in our data center, right in the BMS room and the command center, right in the reception. This is the moving dashboard. Every kilowatt hour is effectively put in and you are able to see how green my data center is. Now, just buying green power doesn't make a data center green. The MEP, the electronics, the devices have to be effective. That means even at low usage, they have to be really efficient, really effective. And then back it up our processes, ASHRAE guidelines, carbon abatement policy, ensure the PU is lower, the water usage is lower, create a system where the water usage is very, very low, because those reportings have to happen. And then as part of future roadmap, we're doing things which are really required for us to go about in terms of having being RE100 ready, the carbon neutral. It is. The most glamorized slide, almost always visible everywhere. What all are we doing to ensure that the high density workloads, we're talking about 20 kilowatt to 200 kilowatt. Well, we deploy a rear door heat exchanger. I'm responding to various global RFPs, so many of them. It's a combination of all of them. And what we see is the direct-to-chip methodology is coming as a very big requirement in almost all the requirements because it is ideal for that very high-density AI type of workloads, 50 kilowatt to 150 kilowatt, and that's really effective. Liquid immersion, still taking a lot of time, still baby steps around it, But the radar and the direct chips are something which are really galloping fast in terms of deployment and the requests that are coming up from global as well as the domestic requirements. Hitesh? Yes. Now, a data center is not a fort or an island. You have to have constant access. And then Gitesh talked about content in one place of the country viewed by other part of the country. So the interconnect has to be proper. So our location, data center, the way we choose, very dense fiber deployments. Again, reliable network, cross connects. All our data centers are telecom neutral data centers. We encourage telcos to come in to set up the IP pop nodes. We have internet exchanges. We have transit nodes of all of these users put up there. And then a very proper data center interconnect. One node could be in our data center, one node could be in another data center for high availability. All of them are very well interconnected. And then carrier neutral, extremely well suited for every user, because most data center users customers take two links, and then there is a diversity requirement for the links also. So one link comes from SIFI being a network service provider, and one link or one pair of links come from a non-SIFI. And that is what we encourage. And that is what we want also. So we have so much link. In fact, 90% of the links in SIFI data centers are from non-SIFI users. That's the way proof of the pudding is. And of course, leverage the internet exchanges and the cloud method, customer that we have into our data center. This is exactly the schematic. This slide addresses so many things. We have my campus which talks about 8 towers today. And if you're in say tower 1 or tower 2 or tower 4 or 5, you can seamlessly expand into any of the new upcoming towers without having to go on a van. Being in the LAN itself without crossing any public road on 4 paths, not just 1 or 2 or 3, but 4 paths. These are all deployed paths. And these are something that we have been doing by default because my customer need it. And as we keep on expanding my towers, say tower 7 and 8 coming up, as the buildings start getting ready, those paths also get created. So you could be in tower 1, expand in tower 4, you just get seamlessly connected. In other cities where there are 3 towers, there is a common base plane. Everything gets connected inter tower 1 to 3 just connects very well.
Thank you, Prashant.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Gitesh, over to you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we'll conclude with a few slides where I'll talk about CFI's data center portfolio and how we are offering services to media and ITES industry. So this is our data center footprint spread across all key cities. You can say 6 major markets in India today. We started our journey with Mumbai, uh, in Mumbai 1, Mumbai 2, and Mumbai 3 in Rabale is the largest campus that we have today. That's scalable to 500 megawatt. Out of planned 12 towers, 5 towers are operational currently. And as we speak today, 4 towers with total capacity of close to 110 megawatt are under construction, which will go live in next 1 year. So we're adding massive expansion in Mumbai location from the data center footprint point of view. Other key cities like Bangalore, we are expanding, we are adding greenfield data centers, 2 towers, 22 megawatt capacity. Similarly, in Chennai, we had 1 data center, Chennai 01. Now we are expanding another campus in Siruseri with total 78 megawatt capacity. In first phase, 26 megawatt will go live most probably by next month. We'll have the grand inauguration ceremony in Chennai and Noida. Similarly, we are launching Noida 02 campus with total 78 megawatt capacity, out of which 26 megawatt will go live. Apart from that, we have state-of-the-art data centers in Hyderabad 01 in Financial District. And further, we are adding large campus near Fab City. Again, similar architecture as that of Chennai and Noida, where we'll create total 78 megawatt campus with first phase having 26 megawatt capacity. We also have a small data center facility in Kolkata, mostly used for enterprises and edge sites. That is also available for service in Kolkata. CFI, we can proudly say that we are providing services for India's top 5 banks, 3 of 4 large global hyperscale customers, global OTTs, social media players, and 600 plus enterprises in us from our state-of-the-art data centers. And from last 23 years, we have been up and running, and with lot of happy customers. And the secret sauce behind this success is our RAS-based design for future-ready data center infrastructure. What I mean by RAS is reliability, availability, and service-based architecture. With that, we have created 14 data centers spread across 6 major markets, 190 plus megawatt IT capacity, scalable to 300 or 500 megawatt by 2025. The variation I'm bringing because we really don't know what is the demand that will come up from AI workloads, which Prashant just talked about. There is a massive demand that is coming up, and all our data centers are geared up to, uh, scale up to the customer's requirement, horizontally and vertically as well. All our greenfield data centers, new facilities are AI ready, which can offer hybrid liquid cooling easily up to 200 kilowatt per uh, kilowatt power per rack. Our data center campuses, as Prashant has explained, are hyper connected, carrier neutral, and offer rich internet ecosystem for all our customers. We are equally responsible towards the society. Hence, we are sourcing more and more green energy or renewable energy to power up our data centers. As of now, we are contracted to 231 megawatt green energy. We are working with government to see if we can source 100% green energy to power up all our data centers. These are some of the certification. I think these are most of the certification that any enterprises would look for when they decide on data center co-location. Highlights are all our facilities are rated 3 concurrently maintainable site. We have SOC 1, SOC 2 certification, all ISO certification. Prashant also talked about. Proud to mention that our Hyderabad facility was first NVIDIA DGX ready certified data center facility in India. Very shortly, we'll announce NVIDIA certification for our Mumbai campus as well. The visual representation of all our data center campuses. Mumbai 03, Noida 032 is a new greenfield data center campus coming up. Chennai 02, 78 megawatt greenfield data center campus will be inaugurating in next month. Bangalore 02, 22 megawatt IT capacity, which will go live approximately 12 months from now. And Hyderabad 02 is the large campus that we are adding, which is under planning stage currently. In the last slide, I would like to highlight our strong credentials or presence in IT, ITeS, and media industry. Proud to mention that 200 plus India's leading IT, ITeS, and media companies trust CFI's data center, cloud, network, and digital services. Multiple global hyperscalers are associated with CFI. They are using multiple facilities in all key cities. Some of the US-based cloud contact centers, global system integrators, global cloud security service providers, OTT and social media platform. I mean, almost everybody is there from all large names, Fortune 500 companies. Because of the NDAs, we will not be able to take specific names and display logo. But most of the large logos that you work with or here in Indian market today are using our data centers, cloud, or network digital services in India. That's all from my side. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Gitesh and Prashant, for taking us through an overview of CFI and what are some of the latest advancements that have been happening in your data center strategy. So going forward, before I introduced two senior IT leaders who will be joining us for a panel discussion, we have a poll which is coming up. Can we have the first poll question up, please? So the question is, what is your organization's top priority when it comes to the IT infrastructure? It's a single choice vote. So you have time to vote before we take it off screen. I think we have a few more seconds. So in case you haven't already taken the poll, you can do so now. We will have it up for a few more seconds. I think we can remove the poll now. Most of the people would have already taken it, and we can display the results. Okay, so it's kind of tied between upgrading legacy systems for better performance, enhancing cybersecurity measures, and reducing operational costs through AI and ML-led automation. Almost, I think, just 2 or 3% of difference. So these are the top 3 priorities. So Gitesh and Prashant, anything you want to comment on here? Does it kind of resonate with what you're already seeing in the market?
Hitesh, you can take that.
I'm saying that the results of the poll, do they kind of resonate with what you're already seeing in the market?
Yes, yes, definitely. Security and automation. These are the two important topics are being discussed whenever we meet any IT leader today. Security obviously remains the priority because whatever experiences that industry has gone through a post-COVID era, where systems were not ready for remote login, opening up IT architecture to the users operating out of office or working out of home or remote locations. So security obviously remains a top priority, followed by automation to reduce cost.
Absolutely. So in fact, we did similar kind of sessions with other industry verticals, including manufacturing and BFSI and logistics. And the results, especially security, was the topmost criteria, among the topmost criteria for most organizations. And that kind of also reflects in the technology and media industry as well. So without further ado, we will now move on to a very interactive panel discussion, which is centered around addressing the imperatives for the media and technology organizations to equip their IT infrastructure to support the data and AI-centric advanced computing needs. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished panelists. I have with me Kapil Mahajan, Senior Principal, Accenture, and Naushat Raja Mohammed, Associate Vice President, Platform Solutions Group, Product Engineering and AI Center of Excellence at Sutherland Global. So welcome Kapil and Naushat, and Gitesh and Prashant, request you to join us again for the discussion.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. It's so good to see you, Naushat and Kapil.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Shilpa.
Great. So before I get started, Naushat, if you can just give us an overview of the what is it that that your data center strategy, let's say, what are some of those advanced computing requirements of your organization? And if you look at the rapid developments and advancements that are happening in the areas of AI analytics, how well do you see your current IT infrastructure equipped to support these kind of technologies? And are there any specific measures that you are taking to ensure that your data centers can handle the advanced computing needs?
Thank you. Before even I get started with the answer. I think Gitesh and Prashant, excellent work in presenting SIFI's capabilities, advanced hybrid DC capabilities. So I think Gitesh talked about the wave of AI. We are currently riding the Gen AI wave. So the traditional AI is kind of getting sidelined. Everybody wants to be part of the Gen AI powered by large language models, right? So with this, be it a traditional AI or the new Gen AI, infrastructure, right, remains a critical and crucial role in both these aspects, right? Without it's always been an unsung hero, right? We talk about we always see the fancy applications that we use, the AI applications and the platforms that we use, but what happens at the back end is a significant amount of contribution by having the right infrastructure plays a critical role for each and every AI applications that we have. So great discussion. This is a timely topic, and I was actually like it was immensely pleasing to see SIFI's advanced hybrid capabilities. Our data center strategy, basically it focuses on computing and storage because most of our product is around AI centric product, and I lead on AI Center of Excellence, where we kind of also look at data, like start building models, various models which are data heavy, volume heavy, veracity heavy. So all those at Sutherland currently, our IT infrastructure is designed with a great emphasis on supporting advanced analytics and this AI ML model capabilities, and also with this LLM coming in, we always focus on this three aspects, right? Whenever we go for a infrastructure sizing or design, we focus on these three aspects. How like HPC, high performing computing, because of uh, the requirement for computing has increased. I think Prashant talked about it, right? Significantly increased over a period of time, and the computing process needs to be at the highest standard. And the second major criteria is the scalable storage solutions, right? The storage, the processing of data, the availability of data, the turning of data has been increasing. And how do we even manage this data optimally without impacting a lot, causing a lot of impact to the cost is the second thing that we basically look out when we are designing a infrastructure design for any AI applications, and also robust security measures, right? These are the three factors which basically plays a major role. And Sutherland is strategically invested in those areas in choosing the right infrastructure for our AI applications.
So you gave us a overview of the AI Center of Excellence, Naushad. So if you can share a little bit more details in terms of what are some of the areas where you are working on, if you don't want to, of course, reveal any specific projects, but what are some of those areas which are really resource intensive, compute intensive applications that you're working on?
See, we are doing a lot of this spend analytics. We are focusing on a lot of predictive analytics. We're working with a large technology company where we are basically predicting their system outages, or the like probably kind of, if we basically observe the patterns of the data and understand if there are any outliers, if there are any abnormalities in the overall data traffic, right? If there are any outliers and data, or probably any anomalies in the data traffic, we basically kind of call, like, trigger an event and identify that event, and also identify a pattern before even an incident or an outage occurs. So that level of prediction requires a significant amount of data processing for us to even build a model. Once a model is built, it requires a significant amount of computing orchestration for us to even do a live monitoring of the data orchestration pipeline, and also kind of observe if there are any events or any potential events that may even occur, and then call it out before even that can happen. So that's the brain power that we are building from a log management standpoint, outage prevention standpoint, and we are basically working on various initiatives from a customer acquisition standpoint. We are doing a churn analysis for some of the largest banks in the United States. So those are some of the key projects that we're working on.
Great. Thanks, Naushad, for sharing it. And in fact, I think once the whole wave around generative AI and large language models came in, and we have seen, now the conversation happening around what kind of, backbone, what kind of, backend infrastructure do I need for training these large language models? And, that has brought focus on the readiness at the back end to be able to support these compute intensive tasks. So Kapil, coming on to you again, an organization that is, you have whole lot of course, you have clients who are among the biggest, in their respective industries. So supporting them, of course, requires a good infrastructure and backend for you to operate on. So if you can tell us about, the current IT infrastructure, how equipped it is to support the technologies around analytics, AI, and ML, because I'm sure you will be working a lot of these projects for your customers. And are there any specific measures you are taking to ensure that the data centers can handle these advanced computing needs?
Sure. Thanks, Shifra. So, I think with this, as you mentioned, with AI wave coming in and now Gen AI wave coming in, obviously, as an Accenture, we have our own data centers, but we do a lot of data center consulting where we, consult our clients in terms of how they choose, the right data center, what sort of things they need to look at, and as Naushad mentioned, some of the things are definitely important in terms of the computational power, the storage capacity. With storage, I think the most important thing is speed. I mean, you can have a vast storage, but if you're not getting the data at right time in real time, probably, obviously it's a challenge. So, things like edge computing. So we obviously try to process data near where the data source is rather than processing somewhere else, so that obviously the time is reduced, so that we can get the calculation at the right time. Obviously, I mean, there are other areas like, now most of the companies are shifting to cloud, as you know, right? And I mean, there has been a cloud wave in past, but now, with Gen AI, it is going, to the another level. Now, obviously, when they are looking at cloud services, they are looking at probably not building their own data centers, but using data centers provided by, whether it's on the large corporate, or I would say Google, Microsoft, probably AWS, or I don't know, maybe CP as well, as the guys have mentioned. Some of the things definitely they need to look into is, how much is one of the things obviously probably comes to my mind is sustainability. So when it comes to sustainability, and I think rightly mentioned, you know, when I am moving to Gen AI, there's a huge computational power that is being generated, which is converting into large carbon footprint. So if is probably Gen AI helping, or it is actually degrading? So that is another conversation that is happening. So that is why most of the large corporates, as somebody mentioned, are looking towards to be a net zero. When I say net zero, they're not adding any value or not adding any carbon footprint. So they're looking towards a data center, their cloud providers, which can support in the same area. So which can probably work on energy efficient, I mean, using renewable energy, green energy, so that they are not adding anything on their overall carbon footprint, which is scope 3 for any organization, right? So, as you would have read studies about Google, etc., they have been able to reduce their electricity by 40% in the last few years, and they're planning to go net zero by 2030. And most of the providers have been their targets around 2030. So I think probably we see all those areas which Naushad mentioned, but I think sustainability is definitely one area which needs to be focused, and nowadays lot of large corporations are focusing on it. Apart from that, the basic things like people mentioned about compliance, security, GDPR, HIPAA. I mean, most of the compliances are there, needs to be there, which I think most of the service providers are giving in. But I think the difference comes in terms of how sustainable your data centers are, rather than how equipped your data centers are. So I just wanted to highlight that point.
Yeah. So in fact, the conversation has shifted maybe about 4 to 5 years back when we were talking of data centers. The questions on top of the CIO's mind was how the availability, the reliability. Of course, security was always there. It's not that these aspects have become any less important, but sustainability is now among the top factors that the CIOs and IT leaders consider when choosing a data center provider. And we will talk more about what goes into choosing, the factors that go into choosing the right data center provider. But before that, Prashant, I want to talk a little bit more about SIFI, and though you made a presentation, I have a few additional questions. Now, SIFI has been in the data center space for over 2 decades now, which has been a long time. What are the innovations and investments that you are making to enable the AI landscape for the IT and IT-enabled services and the media industry?
Yes. So first, Kotak invested into SIFI data centers for the expansion. So there is investment into SIFI, and of course, it is put to an excellent use, and the benefits are there to see. In the slides earlier, I mentioned about how we ourselves have used the AI deployment for our own benefits, with respect to the reduction of POEs, reduction of operations cost. And of course, there was a big learning curve around it. The integrity of data, making the data really visible into the, and putting in the format that is required for the AI tools to really make it work. So in all this, the benefit that we have really achieved is significant. Now, talking about its benefits to the customers, especially the ITITS type of customers, is that when such deployments happen, we are able to share out the benefits to them. See, the other investments are in green energy. It's already on a portal. We have contracted 230 megawatt of green energy from solar and wind. So as part of that's part of the sustainability process for us, and that doesn't come expensive. There's huge capex there. Second, the devices that we use and choose are not about cost, but about how efficient they are on low usage, or how effective they are on the low utilization level. Because in a heterogeneous service provider data center, the usage from say 1% to 80% takes a substantial long time. And then you still have to be sustainable, really effective, really efficient, even at low usage levels. So our equipment selection goes into that criteria. How efficient are you even at low usage levels? Third, the processes that we set, using the right temperature, using the right methodology, setting the operation standards accordingly. I mean, some of the example that I give is we run data centers. We are not into tourist. A data center is not a Shimla or a tourist place where the cooler is better. No, that's not the way. Give the right temperature, right processes, right methodology for your IT equipment to function. And that's where the maximum benefit comes in. So higher the temperature, lower the PUE, better sustainability, more benefits to the end customer and to us. So that's how we look at the entire investment portfolio as well as the operation portfolio that has benefited my end customers.
So I want to come back to the poll that we conducted, where security, of course, was a topmost priority there. And while it is a given for the data center providers now to have security as the key area that they cater to, but still we are seeing security being the CIOs and the IT leaders still want to be assured on the security aspect, and that kind of determines their data center strategy as well. So Naushad, what are your requirements around security and safeguarding your customers' privacy? How does that influence your data center strategy? Because of course, one is that the advanced computing workloads influences your data center strategy, but how are the requirements around security, influencing the strategy?
Absolutely, it's very crucial, very critical, because of the fact that since there is going to be there is a lot of data transfer in play, data processing in play. Security is the utmost important, and most of the conversations that we end up having, it's not about convincing the customer about the product. It's convincing how secure our product can be, how secure the data can be, how secure the data can be processed, right? So that basically leads to the further question of how well we can orchestrate this entire infrastructure data pipeline, like where to make this as a cloud SaaS platform, where to kind of decide and implement an hybrid platform. It largely depends on the security measures. So security plays a critical role. Without a doubt, actually, if you ask me, the strategy around choosing the right partner when it comes to cloud, or probably even the data center infrastructure partner. Like one of the critical metric is security, reliability, and scalability. And also, like Kapil, Prashant, and Jitesh talked about, sustainability is also playing a critical role. Over to you, Shilpa.
Yeah. Kapil, again, when we look at the large technology and technology services players, um, they have their customers' data, and they have most of them also have their customers' data, because so it's like security. I mean, there is. One cannot or rather overstate the importance of security here. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that influences the data center strategy for your organization?
No, I think no doubt, as everybody sort of agreed and mentioned, that security is primarily the most important area. And everybody with so many incidents happening in past, people are concerned about this, and obviously there are regulations around it, and most of the service providers comply to it, I would say. Still, I think many times the data encryption, I mean, these sort of things comes up to us, from the clients. We have our legal team, which will probably, check, do the prerequisite, everything, etc., test it, and then only, retailers. I mean, you would know Accenture. It is headed by actually a lawyer only. So we are very much compliant toward legal and other things. So I think, that aspect is definitely taken care. And there's obviously before choosing any strategy, before choosing any service provider, before onboarding even a data provider, I would not say any other, even a data provider, we do a thorough checkup. We do everything to make sure that, there is no obviously lag on that area. And yes, security is definitely one of the concerns we have faced. Clients are very much interested in that, though many times they, I cannot say that it is 100% compliance, because obviously I mean, there have been incidents that have happened in past. So we have in our legal, documents clauses that obviously if something happens, there has to be an arrangement and all. But yeah, obviously I think I would say probably till 99.99% it is, we try to make sure that it's not there, as the most of the cases. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing that, Kapil. Gitesh, I want to ask you about the fact that, because you also talk to a lot of your customers within these two sectors of IT and media. What are you hearing from the IT leaders in this sector, and how do you see that aligning with their priorities? So you heard Kapil and Naushad talk about it, and you also saw the poll results. So you said that, yeah, you kind of resonate with some of them. So tell us about what you are hearing from the other leaders in this industry, and how is it aligning with the priorities?
Yeah, sure. So as uh, Naushad spoke, and Kapil also touched upon to a certain extent, see, data center today is not only about IT infrastructure, right? It's about multiple things like reliable, scalable, flexible, secure, and lastly, sustainable, right? So all these aspects come into the picture when we evaluate or any customer evaluate data center. But having said that, it is not complete without the connectivity in this connected world, right? So connectivity, network reach ecosystem, and scalability are the prime important criteria that customers are looking at today. Because security today, when we have mature data center ecosystem and data center infrastructure in place in India today, security is given, availability is given, reliability is given. What is customer is looking at is how you are helping them to connect with the rest of the partners they're dealing with. Because in this global era, nobody does everything alone. There are multiple collaboration, there are multiple partners involved in the entire business transactions, customer service. and how well you are connected, how well your contents we've talked about, distributed. So that's the, uh, prime discussion that happens when we discuss with leaders or decision makers in the customer segments in IT, ITeS, and uh, communication and media segment. Apart from that, obviously, artificial intelligence and Gen AI, we discussed is the topic of the time today, because everybody wants to adopt this technology, reduce dependencies on manual resources, and improve the operations, by thereby cutting the cost, and ultimately that business value is passed on to the customer. So specifically in IT, ITeS industry, it's very, very important. How do they get rid of manual processes, uh, headcount based services, because those are getting automated. If anybody doesn't do it, their competitor will do it, and they'll take away the business. So automation is I think from a business standpoint, it's one of the most important criteria that is being pushed to IT today in IT, ITeS segment.
Right. So we have a limited amount of time. So I would like to wrap up with Naushad and Kapil. And of course, Prashant, I will come to you also. Naushad and Kapil, ultimately, you both spoke about what are some of the things that you look for in for your data center infrastructure requirements. Uh, Naushad, what would be the top three considerations or criteria that you have for selecting a data center provider?
Yeah, I think like Jitesh stated, right, reliability, uptime, security is given, right? That's like we are no more discussing those things, right? The other three, which important factors, which drives my decision into making that choice, is basically the scalability, how scalable they are, ability to easily scale their resources horizontally or vertically. Two is compliance, is plays a very, very critical role in terms of industry regulation and standards uh, as per each and every geo. Right, every geo operates in a separate standards. So how compliant they are. The third thing is the sustainability. That's a key initiatives going green. The energy efficiency and the green practices plays a critical role in many organizations in kind of even approving an AI solution deployment. So that these are the three critical factors outside the other factors which are already give and take by default are available as part of our cloud infrastructure.
Thanks, Naushad. Kapil, in your previous response, you did focus, on the sustainability aspect and how it's going to be a key driver, and rightly so, because sustainability is now among the top priorities for businesses as a whole. For the business, it's they have set targets for themselves for sustainability. So, besides sustainability, what would be those other two or three top criteria that you would have for choosing a data center provider?
Yeah, so I think one of the important criteria now we are looking at is how the data centers are using technology for themselves, right? So let's say how they're using AI ML models for predictive maintenance, how they are using, probably Gen AI for cybersecurity. So how they are using technology to make data center efficient, right? It's not only about like a data center providing anything, but how efficient data center is using technology for themselves as well. That is definitely one of the areas to look at. Sustainability, obviously, compliance and all those things. But yeah, I think I just want to add in on the how they are using AI/ML for themselves.
Okay, so how they're leveraging these technologies to make their own data center operations more efficient, and therefore being able to offer greater efficiencies to their customers.
Right.
Great. And of course, innovation. It's not just about efficiency, but also enable innovation through their own innovations. So that brings me, Prashant, to the wrapping up question from your side, because like we were said, so the data center providers need to innovate. So can you tell us about maybe some new innovations and how SIFI's data center services complement the IT and the ITeS ecosystem to create those digital IT transformation solutions for their customers?
Yes, exactly. This is something that has worked really well for us over the period. I mean, we have Naushad and Kapil, who are part of organization who have very deep domain knowledge on what they do. And for us, we have a very horizontal way of doing infrastructure. I'll give a very simple example: a pizza. Pizza has a base, pizza has a sauce, and some very simple cheese and other things that goes across in any type of pizza you buy. And then you have specific toppings that go along with it. So the pizza base, the sauces, the cheese are something what Sifi can do, which cut across almost everything, even specifically in here. And then Naushad and Kapil have their specific domain deep knowledge. These are your specific toppings, as you can say. And then they are complementing each other for the best taste and customer satisfaction. And that is exactly what has worked well for us, is because we work closely with these IT/ITeS providers, and it's a very symbiotic relationship between them, because they know we are an infrastructure provider and we know they are application and specific domain providers, and we don't eat to each other's pie. So it's there a lot of trust that works in both of us going together to manage and do a transformation for a customer's IT as is state to bring him to a new level. And over the period that has worked very well for us. And we used to work with traditional IT companies, now we're working with the new generation companies, even startups, because they have so many new things to offer. And of course, you need the base infrastructure, the base data center, very secure, reliable, sustainable to make things work. So that has worked extremely well for us working with Naushad, Kapil, and that's a very big success story for us.
So you're saying that your data center services very well complement the IT and the ITeS ecosystem to
Yes,
create really remarkable digital IT transformation solutions for their customers in turn.
yes, exactly.
I
It's a
really liked your I really liked your analogy of pizza, and so very very honest opinion from your side. So you of course Sifi deals with customers across verticals, and you have manufacturing, BFSI of course. All of them are now very tech savvy. They are at the leading edge, cutting edge of technology. But when you're dealing with the ITES verticals, where of course, they themselves are at the cutting edge of technology. So is the job harder for you? The expectations are higher?
well, don't do technology talks with them. You don't want to do technology talks with them. They are far ahead of us. So leave their things to them.
Yeah,
And of course, learn from them, compliment them, and make things work jointly for the success of the customer and in turn business for them and us.
yeah,
So that's how the success mantra is. I mean, that's very simple.
Yeah,
right.
that's where this analogy of pizza works, right? So he gets all these analogies and attacks it from a business standpoint. Good one, Prashant.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
So it's like you have the domain expertise from them and the infrastructure connectivity network from your end coming together to be able to offer the kind of transformative solutions for the customers. So with that, I would like to wrap up this panel discussion, but we still have a lot of things, not a lot of, but we have been receiving a lot of questions over over the last 1 hour that we have been talking. While it may not be possible for us to take all the questions, but we will try to take as many as possible. And before that, we have yet another poll. So can we have the second poll question up on the screen, please? So how far along is your organization in its IT infrastructure journey with respect to data centers? You can choose one. In case you haven't already taken the poll, you can do that now because we will have it up for a few more seconds. So I think once we have majority of the participants taking the poll, we can take it off screen and we can show the results. I think let's have the results now. We can close the poll. Okay, so majority are advanced, but with ongoing improvements. 28% moderately developed with significant progress and fully optimized and state-of-the-art. It's good to see that 25% feel that in their IT infrastructure journey, their data centers are fully optimized and state-of-the-art. 34% think there's ongoing improvements. I think that that will continue to be, I think 34% will grow further because as new technologies come in, as like for instance, we saw with the large language models, and as we'll see further advancements happening in AI and ML. And as that happens, the data centers, of course, will require continuous improvement and continuous upgrading uh, from their end. So thank you so much for taking the poll. And now we move on to the Q&A session. So let me see, which questions we can take up. We will do that one by one. The first question is that for the data in hosted or on-premise like SIFI, which need to have connectivity with public cloud to use its AI capability, what connectivity is supported?
I think I've answered
yeah, so yes, I know you have answered some of them, but we just want to make sure that everybody, because that question might be on the mind of a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah. So in all our data centers, we connect to the leading public clouds on a very, very low latency. So a part of the application architecture can be on the public clouds AI tools and that framework. And the core application architecture could be in our data centers. And that's where we have the very low latency access to them. Some of them being our own data centers, so it's zero latency for those public clouds, and some of them very low latency. So, and you can size it as per your needs with 1 GB to 10 GB or whichever size you want to size. And they are the open protocols that the public cloud allow you to interface with are available through us. So we can directly connect it to the public clouds.
Okay, so the second question is that for security like authentication using Azure Federation or AD Federation, are there any recommendations?
It again needs, we need to specifically understand what the CISO has in mind for the organization's policies. So once we have a framework for the organization's security policies really understood, then using the tools are effective. So first define the policy, have a framework to implement the policy, and then understand the tools. Don't buy the tools first and then try to implement a policy around the tools. That is not the good way of looking at it. Have a framework, have the policy, and then buy tools which are required to make your policy work effectively. So it could be just one of them or even both of them or in third party. So it just works very well. But to answer that question, of course, you need to know the policy and the expectations from the CISO.
Right. So this is again very subjective to different organizations depending on the policy. So I would suggest that you can get in touch directly with Gitesh and Prashant to look at your specific requirements and therefore what would be the recommendations. Third question is that content being cloud or technology agnostic, how to leverage SIFI, for example, for media and heavy transactions.
Right. So we have a proper ecosystem of everything that is required from a content providing to eyeballs. So we have content providers, the global's largest content providers, whom they are available on apps, and you keep on watching them. You just come and keep on moving them. I can't name them, so but they're just there. They are very much present with us. The internet exchanges who connect to various internets and then connect on one side to this cloud and the hyperscale side as well as the content creators, they are very much present. The telcos, the Jio, the Airtel, the Vodafones, which bring the content from our data center to you on your phone or a tab, they're very much there. The ISPs, from whom you take your internet broadband access, they are very much with us. And then finally, it leads to a very, very close knit access to you. And most of them are also available in edge data centers close to you where you are. So the replication of content is available. And whenever if you're making any search or watching any videos, you don't have to go to a central location in the United States or in India. That content is almost always likely cached in an edge location closest to you. So we have those methodology of connecting you to the eyeballs. So right from the content provider, everything in between to the eyeball, that ecosystem is completely available.
Okay. So the next question is, Just 1 minute. Okay. So in case of dynamic content which is spread across regions, what is recommended? I'm sure there will be, of course, a lot of other aspects that will go into this consideration, which you perhaps will, it's company specific, but overall, in case of a dynamic content spread across regions, are there any specific recommendations that you would like to give?
Yes, the most commonly used methodology is using a CDN network, a content distribution network, even for your dynamic content. That's a very simple way to use. And there are tools to even further optimize your dynamic content. I mean, to the extent the dynamic content could be a ticker of a stock exchange. That's absolutely dynamic. It's changes multiple times a second. That can be still used to make things work. I mean, you can't be more dynamic than a stock ticker. So that is available. And of course, the other static is very easy. Just keep on pumping on one way, and this just works.
So perhaps we have time to take one or two more questions. Okay, so I think though you did reply this, but still this question would be on top of mind for many. How can uh, they visit the SIFI data center? So if you can share how we can visit the SIFI data center.
Gitesh?
Yeah, so if you, I put in my email ID there. If you are interested, please drop email. We would send you the data center visit form, which you can fill up and plan your visit to our data center.
Yeah, so you can find Gitesh's email ID in the chat. So Gitesh, maybe if you could also top it up right now on the chat, because in case somebody missed it, it might
We
be.
will, yeah, we will follow up with the email to all attendees, where we'll send them data center visit invitation, and
Okay.
they can fill up the form and plan their visit to our data center.
Great. That will be certainly helpful for everyone. And one last question. What is the PUE ratio? What is the PUE ration for SIFI data centers?
Yeah, so PUE, if you have a well-managed setup, servers, racks, etc., you can go as low as 1.4. And I'm still talking about tropical country like India. But then most applications, most racks are heterogeneous. Some racks 3 kilowatt, some racks 6 kilowatt, 800 mm wide, 600 mm wide. Those combinations don't work well. So for heterogeneous and so many cages in one hall. So then the PU tends to go up. But if you have well optimized deployment, 1.4 very much doable, ranges to 1.6, 1.65 if it is not well managed.
Right. I can see that a lot of questions that you have put in the Q&A section have been answered by Prashant and Gitesh. But since we cannot take all of them, we would suggest that you can get in touch once you receive the email. You can get in touch with them for further details. I can see some questions around how do you support Gen AI, how sustainability. I can see a lot of questions. So it would be good for you to hear from them in more detail once this webinar is over. And with that, I would like to thank all of you. And we have one more poll question to give us more insights into where you are in your journey. Can we have the third poll question up on the screen, please? What is your current stance on utilizing external data center services? Again, it's a single choice question, so you can take the poll now. So what is your current stance on utilizing external data center services that is there, whether you prefer everything in-house, open to using co-location, actively transitioning to outsourced hosting, or already have heavily reliant on external hosting services? If majority have taken the poll, we can have the results up on the screen. Okay, open to using co-location. That's the majority, with prefer to keeping everything in-house being the second choice, and actively transitioning to outsourced hosting solutions is the next one. So open to using co-location services wins hands-on. Hitesh, Prashant, anything you want to add to that?
Hitesh?
No, I think pretty much, I mean, that's the trend. We've seen a lot of inquiries from enterprises And nowadays, everybody has realized that the kind of reliability and scalability that is required for business um, is not, or it cannot be achieved in in-house data center premise, right? So everybody is looking at outsourcing or co-locating state-of-the-art data center facilities created by, place like SIFI. We have multiple data center facility, and the kind of scalability and flexibility is offered in our data center, along with sustainability, which is something everybody is looking at, is totally unmatched when it comes to own in-house data center facility.
Right. So Jasween Singh from SIFI has put in the email ID, once another email ID for any queries regarding SIFI's data center services. It's marketing@sificorp.com. So you can write on this email ID as well if you would like to. With that, I'd like to wrap up this session and thank all of you, especially Prashant, Gitesh, and of course, our two other panelists, Naushad and Kapil, who had to drop off as they had a hard stop at 4. And thank you so much for giving your time. And to all the delegates and the participants, you took out almost 1.5 hours to spend time with us. I hope you got the insights that you were looking for. Thank you so much for being part of this insightful webinar. Your engagement and participation made it a valuable experience, and we appreciate your time and contributions. And as you log out, you will have a form which will come up. It is a feedback form and a survey form. Your insights there would also be helpful for us. So have a great day and have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shipra. Thank you. Thank you all
Thank
to the
you,
participants
everyone.
and organizers. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.